advent of technology in our world today, it's actually important that we realize as soon as possible that it has come to stay. It's a system, that has been going around the world, and now it is here in this part of the world that we live. And like Yoruba would say that Taibanyi Kamabayeyi. So as Nigerians, as Kwarans, we have to get used to the system as soon as possible, because gradually it is coming into our transactional system. That is the way we buy and sell, because of course most of us have, a kind of technology in one way or the other in our homes and our offices. Even our gadgets are, a type of technology. So that is why on the episode of this show today, you and I, YOU&I, we will look at, issues that have ensued as a result of this system that is just coming to show in Nigeria. And on You&I show, it is where we unearth the benchmark in the state of harmony, Kwara State. My name is Florence Olayinka, and I am on today's episode of You&I. I am with a very intellectual guest. He goes by the name Adedeji Ajani. He is a principal partner, Leeds Innovation Limited. He is a secretary to the Kwara State on Innovation Working Group, and he's a doctoral student, Educational Technology, University of Ilorin. Trust me, you want to meet him already. Good day. I am Adedeji Ajani. So good to have you on the show today.
Hi, Flo. Good to be here with you.
Yes. All right. So today we'll be talking about the impact of technology on the issues we are facing currently in the state. We want to, make the world a better place for Kwarans, Tiwa first of all, right? So we want to look into issues that we have been facing, because now the CBN, that's our bank at the top, our Oga at the top, they said that we should go into the cashless policy. Gradually, we have to get used to that system. What do you think about? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's actually a very good approach to live a life in this day. And starting off, when you are said the Yoruba adage of Baye,
Kama,
so I feel like singing the song, right? And really, the truth is that Nkoti, like,
Yes.
right, àti kúrò ní àwọn space tá wà nígbà kan, right? And the truth is that technology is actually creating that, is actually providing a thin line in terms of what the world used to be and where we are today. Of course, technology has given us a lot of good things. Of course,
Yes,
the bad
yes,
things,
that's
but we
not-
can always acknowledge the good things
Of
that
course.
technology has given to us. And we also need to understand very well that when new technologies or new innovations are introduced, especially the disruptive ones, a lot of things will happen. And I feel that's one of the things we are feeling today.
Yes.
Especially in Kwara State, where I have to pay, where I make attempts to pay an Okada man 100 naira via transfer.
I was just
funny.
about to say that, like, coming to this lower denomination, I personally feel that with this transfer issues, imagine pé mo fẹ́ ra ata 15 naira lọ́wọ́ ìyá aláta, and I have to transfer 15 naira. How many market women even have accounts?
The truth is that, right, we keep talking about digital transformation, right? And I feel one of the things that digital transformation will bring to us is digital inclusion, right?
Okay.
And the digital inclusion would give opportunity in terms of how many people are digitally included.
Yes.
I think that's one. How many people can actually access these digital resources? I think that's another thing. But then generally, I feel it's a good thing that we are moving towards digital inclusion in
Yes.
its real sense, right? So for me, I think it's better we just look at it from the part of what are the benefits for all,
Okay.
right? Rather than what are the pains that we are feeling today.
eventually we would have to go through the pain. Imagine we transforming from cash. If we need cash, you could see cash, and then we have to go to the transfer. So people are gradually getting used to it. I am just looking at it in the sense that it's like some denomination in the Nigeria currency are being bit by bit sidelined, because look at all these 50, 20, 10 naira currency. We already know that 5 naira is like gone already. So look at that. So it's personally, I just feel Nigeria currency is now starting from 100 naira as the lowest currency presently, and it's going to affect people that are not, like you said, digitally inclined. Because imagine having to go through some little transactions, like myself, for example, that I said I wanted to buy Pepe 15 naira, and I'm like, Mama Shemagba, transfer 15 naira.
Why did you start with Pepe?
Because, I'm a woman, and, and of course, food for the belly for the food. So, of course, we have to look at all the people that are out there, that some people are not even ready to go into this cashless policy. How do we help people like that?
Well, okay. In terms of helping people like that, then I like it that we started from the part of digital inclusion. There is financial inclusion too.
Yes.
Right. And I'll bring it from the part of sidelining or taking off some currency or denomination out of Nigerian currencies, the likes of not knowing 10 naira, 5 naira, and the likes anymore. But the truth is that we would always have reasons to use those denominations. So it's in terms of having it in circulation, it's going to be reduced.
Yes,
right?
it will.
But then most of our transactions will now be based on e platforms.
Yes.
Right? I think that's something that is very crucial. In terms of, I think I missed something. Your last question. What was that? Do you remember?
Can I even remember my last question?
Okay. I think you were actually talking about
how do we help those people?
How do we help those people?
Yes.
Right. The in terms of helping them, we need to see that more persons are actually more financially included.
Okay.
Then, every other person to value resources, I think that is something that is very important.
Yes. All right. Thank you for the way I think those solutions you provide are simple enough for anybody to be able to go through those processes. All right. Now coming to the accessibility of this digital these platforms, how accessible can it be to? Let me still use my YOU&I for it, because I of course they are my paddies. Now let me use them as an example. Most of them even use all these button phone, tonosobe, like we call them. So making transfers and how usually we use some apps and like the likes of them. How do we now introduce? Let us even say we want to introduce them into the system. Right? So how do we now make it accessible enough for them to be able to use those platforms, or those just to be able to transact via those digital platforms?
Okay, in terms of I think it's also important we talk about, is it compulsory everything to be digital? No. When you were speaking, something came to mind about this. Was it the Obesere song called? I said, Mama Losempe. But the truth is that the digital space and in terms of financial inclusion, there's nothing like I will come Losempe.
Yes.
Right. A woman using Tonosobe, right, or a small phone that is not internet enabled can always use a USSD. I think that is something that is very, very common these days. In fact, there are some times that you actually don't have internet on your phone. You have to use the
USSD code.
In fact, let's say, since the issue come and transfer for local data, I've been using USSD code. So, and it's been working. Yes, it has its own issues, especially, I talked about infrastructure earlier, but then I feel things would have to be improved upon, not just as much as we want people to be digitally and financially included. We have to look around infrastructures that would enable these things to be seamless. I think that's the word. To be seamless, that if I want to transfer 10 naira to Mama Oniru or Mama Oni Maggie, once I just spread my USSD code, she should be able to, in fact, she should even get the transaction receipt immediately. That is something that is also very important. In terms of access, right? Making it very simple. Meanwhile, while we're looking at USSD codes, it's also very important we start looking at exploring new technologies, the likes of NFCs, the likes of point and pay, the likes of QR code scan, and all of that, right? I think it's very important we look at that as much as we are looking at that too. The infrastructure that would enable these things to actually happen seamlessly needs to be put upon. And I feel it's not just from the part of the people, right? The government itself actually have rules.
That's where I'm going next. You talked about the fact of using USSD codes, and we would see that the digital platforms of the commercial banks that we have today, they are the ones that have USSD code. I'm not trying to advertise for any bank, but an online bank like OPay or Kuda, I don't think they have a USSD code. So if we are going to be using those e-wallets like they call them, that means they would have to provide probably a USSD code for us that can also be a way to transact for those categories of people. Now, coming to the stakeholders aspect, where you said the government have to be, should be involved. How do we now, or let me put it this way: who are the stakeholders involved in this cashless policy that we know that we can actually access or get across to, and they can help us as soon as possible? Because like I said at the beginning, it has come to stay. So the earliest, the best.
Well, bubashi ma yasi ononi oma vero gbogbo wa lorun si. Right. Agreed. In terms of who are the stakeholders, I mean, the stakeholder starts from me and you, right? Our people, the community, right? The masses, everyone, right? I think it's important for all of us to move with the tide, which is particularly around getting digital education, getting financial education. I think that is very important. People makes government.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's number one. Number two would be around, I know you were expecting me to talk about government, but it is on government. And also the innovators themselves. I think it's very important. We innovators that are in the tech space, that are working around financial payment, digital payments, and all of that. We need to start developing solutions that fit into this space that we are. I know my company, Leeds Innovation Limited, as well as Okolo Global, we are working with innovators to incubate them to develop solutions that solve societal issues like this, right? I know of a startup here in Kwara State. I don't want to advertise, but then I know of a startup working and developing a solution that can actually fit into solving this kind of problem. And I'm sure this will be coming up very soon, right? So in terms of innovators, we should do that. In terms of incubators, we should also do that. Then there are communities, there are associations, the likes of FinTech NGR, that's Nigeria FinTech Association, and the likes, right? Who are helping to encourage governments or the regulators, right, to develop frameworks that would help all of us to be able to use this system, who are very, very important. They are people. They are important to all of these things. Then we go to the government, right? Government itself, it's the role of government really is to see how everyone gets more igbadu in life, right? So we should see government should now start looking at can they develop policies that makes life easier. I think that is very important. That makes it easy for innovators to work. That is
Yes.
to develop solutions that fit into all of this. They also look at how can they provide policies or implement policies that would make Mama Oloja to trust the system itself, because that is another thing
Yes.
in its real sense. We've
Yes.
been at one situation to just be, you want after eating food, right? You want offer transfer for you. So no me transfer.
transfer.
It's not the fault of the mama.
Yes.
Mama yẹn wò pé owó tóun lè má rí, owó tí ó lè má
And
dé
with
ọ̀dọ̀
the
ẹ̀.
advent of fake transfers
You know,
again.
so all of things like that. It's important to develop frameworks that would make people trust the system in its real sense. I think that is something that is important. Then we go into the private sector. The
All
private
right.
sector would now.
Can you, Deji, please,
Okay.
before you go into the private sectors, I would like to tell our listeners and those watching me that you can be a part of this conversation online on our social media platforms, and of course, ask us questions. Deji is here to answer all our questions. That's why he's here. So, of course, you can also, get your opinions in as much as possible, just so that you know that Ajowa Funrawani. That's why we are here. Editafi Wambi by relay. That's why we went to Bondu Deji to the show for today.
So I was talking about private sector, right? Which private sector would now have to look at it from the part of how do they start investing in startups that are doing things like this. Investment is very important in this place, either as infrastructure investment in startups, doing developing solutions to fit this space. All are very, very important. Invest, right? Because business important, so it's very important.
All right. Okay, Deji, thank you very much for that. Especially because our market women meeting with so I want your lodger sideline one. Any policy the government is going to give, even down to our innovators. Any innovation they are innovating, anything at all, we have to include these people because they are like the closest to us. Go see, addict their activities. Like you said, your experience with the Okada man. If you don't have, even sometimes you have a personal car, and then you just quickly want to do something quickly, and then you stop a bike man. We have them around us, and they are people that they are accessible to us so much. So we cannot sideline them. So that's your mama.
No, I'm just saying that the word mama lo sempe. Now this space we are now, there is no sempe. Everybody would have to on sempe.
All right, Deji. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so let's quickly do a recap of what we have said so far, because one thing we want to make our people know, we are not just bringing out problems, we are not just pointing out problems. Àti wàhálà tí wàá gbé ọ̀nà àbáyọ sí gbogbo wàhálà tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí, gbogbo kò sí cash, fún mi ní cash, kò sí cash. We are not just bringing out problems. We want to make sure that they know that we are doing something about it. Okay, so how do we now? Okay, in conclusion, based on every point we have, touched so far, what do you have to say in general to the government, the innovators, even, our people at home?
Yes, I think it starts with you, right? And it's trusting the system, trusting that this would work. I think that is something that's very important.
All right.
Right? So all of us, I need láti gbàgbọ́ pé nǹkan tí ó wà ń tà yìí, ibi tá need láti lọ ni. Right, because reduce a whole lot of problems that I'm facing, especially in our nation. Right, I think that's number one. Trusting the system. In terms of regulators should understand very well that innovation would happen before regulation. Yes. Right, we should not use regulations to stifle innovation. So in terms of innovators, right, the innovators too need to develop solutions that are actually contextual, like solution to jẹ́ pé ẹni tó wà nsàlẹ̀ pátápátá ó máa lè lò, not just the high caliber persons, right? I think that is also important. Now, our government, we need a lot of investments in enabling in system that enables all these things, right? Digital infrastructure, internet access, education, digital education, financial education, all of these things, they're actually very, very important. And for me, one thing I would do on my part is that I would make sure I do things that would make Nigeria better.
Yes,
for her.
change begins with me.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Deji, for coming today. We really, really do appreciate you. And of course, everyone at home that are listening or that are watching us also appreciate you so much. All right. This is where we will be saying bye on today's episode of You and I, Ìwọ àti Èmi. Lájọ máa jẹ́ kó dáa, ìwọ àti èmi náà la máa wá ọ̀nà àbáyọ sí gbogbo wàhálà tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí ní ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara, the state of harmony. And you can also follow us on our social media handles on Instagram at voltagetvng. Adele kàn sí wa lórí number tó ń lọ lórí screen yìí ní dédé àsìkò yìí. You fit even text us via this same number, send us WhatsApp messages. You get idea, you get question, anything we get, allow us on that number, that same number. We would ensure that we pay attention to every question and respond accordingly. Once again, my name is Florence Olayinka, and we'll be doing it together consecutively on this show, You and I, Ìwọ àti Èmi. Lájọ máa jẹ́ kí ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara kó dára. Ìpínlẹ̀ tí a mọ̀ sí àlàáfíà àti ohun rere yóò máa tẹ̀síwájú. I'll see you when I see you.